Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. And what are we reviewing this time? Well, Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed was developed by Ilphonic and also published by them. And it came out on Windows, PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox One, Series X and S on October 18th of 2022. It is an action first-person shooter, single-player, multiplayer, mainly multiplayer type of game. It's a 4 versus 1. So it's a 5-player multiplayer, 4 versus 1. You get the 4 Ghostbusters versus the ghosts. So it's very reminiscent of games like that in that type of genre, such as like Dead by Daylight and Jason game, and games that have been coming out like that. You know, we've had some that have failed, like Evolve and some of the other ones that have come out. But, you know, Dead by Daylight seems to be the one that's really holding on strong. That game continues to go. So this is a game kind of like that in that type of genre, the 5v1 genre. So following the Ghostbusters. So again, really not much to it besides you're Ghostbusters fighting ghosts. That's pretty much about it. But we're going to go around and see what everybody thinks of this one. Shane, what do you think of Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed?
Who you going to call? It doesn't matter. It takes about 30 minutes. That's all. So everybody's got time. It is a short ass game. We completed all the stages as the Ghostbusters in roughly 45 minutes, I guess it would have been. You can also play as a ghost. That's where the 5 comes in. And it was really fun, really neat ideas. There was just no real gameplay to it after that. You play those 5, I think it was about 5 chapters, 5 missions, and that's it. It's disheartening. We were really looking forward to it. All of us are Ghostbusters fans. Obviously, Nick's never seen them before, but you know, you know, we were all really looking forward to it, and you know, we fired it up and we had a great time. You know, wow, a ghost over here, and you know, whip out your trap, nice throw. I mean, we had a good time, and then that good time ended very fast. It was terrible that it ended so quick, because it's one of those games you should be able to enjoy much longer. I did not realize, and I believe Pat was in the same boat, that this was a 4v game. I thought it was a Ghostbusters story kind of driven game because there's story elements to it. You just cannot experience them apparently in a cooperative session. You have to, separate from your group, then you go back into your game, and then you can talk to some of the NPC stuff, and you know, get some story tidbits like that. But that was it, and that was really probably the most angering part about it, besides the time frame, is that it's not the Ghostbusters game I was expecting and a Ghostbusters game I wanted. Everything about what you do in the game is fun, and it's a good time, but there's no story really to it, because one, you can't experience it with your friends, and 2, it's a 4v game. There's really no story at all. I mean, it's Ghostbusters, you catch ghosts. You know, I really disappointed by that fact. It's hard, because normally, you know, we could play a game like this and go and just have such a good time, and we can jump on the next day and the next day, and we finished it in one session, and it was so short that, you know, we did not want to return to it, which sucks, because it was fun, and then the fun was done, and there was just so brief and so little to do that there was no reason to go back. So I think I'm done whining. Pat, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I mean, at first it started out like, okay, this is going to be kind of cool, you know. I mean, the game mechanics were pretty smooth. The graphics look cool. Every time we went in, the map was a little different, you know, doing all the maps and stuff. And I did not expect this to be a 4v1 as neither, you know. I did not think that, I didn't know it was a 4v1 until just before we started playing it and we started reading a little bit more into the game, because I was expecting a 4-player co-op campaign experience. You know, that's what I was thinking this game was going to be. And then we got into it and I'm like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And then basically it turned into exactly what we thought it was going to be. Another one of those 4v1s where the ghost has a lot of abilities and you have to hunt him down. If you're not playing 4v1, the game is entirely too damn easy. There's no way to up the difficulty that I saw anyway when we were trying to play. Because that's all I was like, well, let's up the difficulty, see if we can get quicker score. Because it's all about getting more points so you can level up, get more pieces of gear to upgrade your equipment, you know, upgrade your scanner, upgrade your proton pack, upgrade this, upgrade that, you know, get different uniforms and things like that. And that's when it dawned on me when we started playing. I'm like, this is another skin grab game because there's going to be currency, I guarantee you, to get skins and new costumes and crap like that. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. And the only way to progress the underlying story anyway, any more than it already is that you have to basically just run mission after mission after mission after mission. And it's only 4 or 5 different maps. And the gameplay is so paper thin that it's just too hard to rinse and repeat over and over and over, because it's the same thing. Go in, find all the rifts, hunt the ghost, trap the ghost, game over. Keep the people from escaping, you know, bolster them up so they've got more courage to stick with the fight, you know, the pedestrian. And then hunt mushrooms and hunt any other collectibles and crap like that. So the game rotation and gameplay is pretty boring after you do it once or twice or 3 times or 4 or 5 times. We tried to play for more than an hour, but it just got to the point where I'm like, this is just droning on and on and on and on. And there's no variation, you know. And that's where the whole 4v1 comes in. The other way to get variation and difficulty change is by having somebody be the ghost and the other 4 people play as Ghostbusters, which, like I said, not what I was expecting. And I'm a little bit disappointed in that, but I probably should have read more before it came down that close. But, you know, we were going to review it regardless. So we got it, reviewed it, and I'm highly disappointed. So I have a vote for this year's most disappointing game, and that is Ghostbusters. What about you, Nick? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I didn't know it was a 4v1 either. That was definitely mine. I think all of our bads for not looking into more of this game to figure out that there was a 4v1. I thought it was a 4-player story-based Ghostbusters game because that's what we kind of all wanted. We've had those in the past, but they've been single player or local co-op and not online co-op. And so it's like, finally, we're getting an online co-op story mode, which we're not, right? And this is just a 4v1. A lot of these games come and go. I agree that, yeah, there's no difficulty settings, especially if you just want to play with bots. Let's say you don't want the 5th player, the ghost. In our case, we didn't want it to be a person, and we just wanted it to be a bot. That's fine. But if you're going to have a bot play as the ghost, it would be nice for a variation in the ghost. There are variation of ghosts, but they all kind of look like a variation of Slimer, and you know their possession powers and the powers that they have all seem very similar between each type of ghost that you come across. They do have separate powers, like there's ones that use electricity and ones that do other, you know, slime you and do other things like that. But they all kind of follow the same route, right? So it is very easy gameplay, and I think a difficulty slider, being able to make it more difficult would help if you don't want that 5th person to be a person, right? You want it to be a bot, because there are some gamers out there that might like this and might find it enjoyable, but having no difficulty, the game is super easy. Like, it's super easy. Even if you play by yourself, I played by myself a few matches just by myself with bots, and the game is incredibly simple. Like, I was beating matches in 5 minutes, right? Completing matches in 5 minutes. So, it's just an incredibly simple game. I think there's other games in this genre that do it better. I think the Evil Dead that came out not too long ago that we reviewed, it's a 4v1, right? And I think it did so much better, especially with AI bots. I mean, that game was hard and difficult, so it felt more rewarding, and it was a lot longer too, because it wasn't just because in this game you're just in one like building, or whatever. And so you have a few rooms, maybe a upstairs and a downstairs, and that's pretty much the extent of it. Whereas the Evil Dead had this whole roaming village and landscape that you would drive cars through and go to place to do various things at various objectives, where this one is just the objectives are always the same. Close the rifts, trap the ghosts, game is over. That's pretty much the extent of it. So this game, yeah, I mean, disappointment is not saying that. I'm not saying, I would agree with Pat, it is a disappointing game, and it's disappointing in the fact that not because the 4v1 doesn't work, or not that some people might find it enjoyable and fun. It's just disappointing because, for me anyway, that it's just not what I thought it was going to be. And being that it's a 4v1, we have enough 4v1s, and I think there are people that enjoy them. I just don't think there's that many people that enjoy them, right? If like Dead by Daylight's probably the biggest 4v1 out there, and it has its community, but it has its community, right? And I think that's just it. It has its community, but there's no like, there's not, I don't know. I just don't feel like in the gaming market, in the gaming atmosphere, that there's these huge plethora of players out there that are just looking for that great 4v1 to be created. So, you know, this wasn't the case here either. Yeah, it's just not a very good, it's just not good in that aspect. For a 4v1, I guess it's fine in that aspect, but as far as like anything else, no, I don't think so. It's just not a very, it's too easy. It's over too quickly. There's just not enough variation in this game. Maybe after a few patches and updates and stuff, after a while, it might have some more variation, or they might add on some more things that make it more interesting. But it's kind of a shallow game at this point.
I would disagree. I think even for a 4v game, it's disappointing and lacking too much to be even a decent 4v game. I mean, you shouldn't be able to beat it in this amount of time. The repetition of those maps and the gameplay is just too much. Even for a 4v, I would have to agree. I think Pat's right. It's probably my biggest disappointment. Even though we did not know that it was a 4v game. We were going into it with the aspect of a Ghostbusters game, some storytelling, busting ghosts, different levels and blah, blah, blah. It's still just a disappointing game. I mean, just overall, the game, if we knew it was a 4v game, playing this type of game, we will, because it's Ghostbusters, even knowing that. It's still a disappointment because there's so little in it. There's so little to do in it. Once you complete it, you can grind and get those upgrades and things like that, but it's not worth it because because it's so easy. You're not working towards anything because you don't need those upgrades if you can beat it with the generic stuff that we had. If we never upgraded anything, we still could have beat every mission in there. So.
Well, but we also aren't playing 4v1. That's your difficulty measure right there. Is your 4v1.
True,
if you have a player playing the ghost, it makes it more difficult,
5,
than 3 of us and a bot tackling another bot, so it doesn't really make it that it really isn't that easy of a game when you tag in that type of stuff, especially somebody who really knows how to play the ghost. I will say, even without a player in there, it shouldn't be this easy, right? Because we played 5v1s that let you have bots in there. And the bots will downright decimate you as the bad guy, but in this game, it's like the bots are just idiots when they play the ghost and your other companions, right? Because there's been plenty of times where I'm in there and I expose a rift and the bot's like over there running around like an idiot and then goes right back upstairs when he sees the rift. And I'm like, help me destroy the rift, you idiot. Stop running upstairs, But I'm disappointed, even like Shane said, even knowing now that it's a 4v1, I still think it's a very poor excuse for a 4v1, just because of the variation. It needs more maps. It needs longer maps. It needs difficulty modifiers, or maybe even like a random event for each map to make it a little bit more interesting instead of just going into every map the same crap over and over and over without any variation. I just think it was a waste of $40 because I don't even think we got a freaking hour out of it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you guys. We played it.
Together,
no, as a group. We got like an hour maybe we played that night, and we ran through every map multiple times, and it's just like, okay, I got enough to get level 8 or 9 or whatever the crap we are, I can't remember, and then get some upgrades out of it, change your costume up a little bit, and you're like, okay, cool. Got to hop back into my game so I can talk to Ray or Winston to kind of progress the story a little bit further. And now you're just waiting until you do enough busts to come back again, and they'll give you another little tidbit of information and cutscene and crap, or go collect 100 more mushrooms or 1,000 more mushrooms or whatever the hell you got to get. I highly disappointed in this one, and I feel like I wasted my money. I feel that way anyway. It's like a $10 game for me at best.
Yeah. Oh, that's giving it credit. I am really that disappointed in the game. I think Game Pass is about as much as I would pay for this game. Honestly, it was really disappointing to me. Granted, a lot of that might be just because I am a Ghostbusters fan, and one of my favorite games was Ghostbusters on the original Nintendo. I have such, amazing memories. If they want to make this game right, they need to add a story mode to it. Period. Plain and simple, where you can play four player with your friends. That's what this game needed to begin with. That's what this game should have been with. Should have been at the beginning, and not this. Like you said, it's going to be a skin grab. This cash grab. Throw the Ghostbusters moniker on it and see what kind of money we can make. That's all this is. I mean, look at Nick, for God's sakes. He's dressed like Vinkman. That's how much he loves Ghostbusters. But now he's gonna go home as Tully.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they've made some single player Ghostbuster games that we've talked about. I mean, not talking about the Nintendo ones, but like on the 360 and stuff that were really good, but they were only single player. Right. And so, we were hoping that this would be the first 4-player co-op of that, that single player game that they made back in the day, just a new, 4-player co-op version of that or something like that. But unfortunately, no. I mean, this is a 4v1. And like I said, I think there's a lot of other 4v1s that have done a lot better job. I think, like we mentioned, Dead by Daylight is still number one as far as the 4v1s go. And I think Ash versus Evil Dead was a really good 4v1 as far as 4v1s go. Because there was just a lot more variation. The maps varied on what you were supposed to do. There was 3 different types of enemy types in that game that had variation. The maps had variation and all sorts of stuff.
And a story.
Yeah. So they just did a better job of it. Whereas Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, and unfortunately, they're using like you guys said, they're using the Ghostbusters name for 4v1. That's just not. Yeah, it's just not a lot of variation. There's really nothing to do besides level up and unlock skins and collectibles and stuff. Other than that, it really has no replay value. I don't see this as a 4v1. I don't see it as a 4v1 continuing on. I think it'll die off kind of like some of the other 4v1s have. That's a hard genre for any company to get a foothold into, kind of like battle royales, right? It's kind of the same thing. A 4v1 and a battle royale are really hard genres to get a following for. And you've got to knock it out of the park if you're going to make any of these types of genres. As developers, you've really got to bring it because you want that foothold. And if you don't get it within the first couple of months, you're never going to get it. There's nothing you can do, out of the gate. There's nothing you can do if you don't grab people right out of the gate. There's nothing you're going to be able to do to keep them in the long run and keep that community, right? Like Dead by Daylight has. I don't know how Evil Dead's doing, but I think it's probably doing pretty well still. But battle royales, like I said, are the same thing, right? We've seen so many battle royales come and go, and they come and go for that very reason. They can't get that foothold. They can't get those players to stick around in their game. And that's the biggest hurt.
And multiplayers, you need players, right? If you have no players to play your game, then who cares if it's a 4v1 if you can't get 4 people and another player in, or if it's like atrocious wait times to get a full party. Unless you have 5 friends, 4 for you plus 4. So,
yeah, we had an extra friend once.
Once we did.
Yep, he's now Slimer.
He's now Slimer.
He got
I
slimed.
wonder. I wonder what the Steam charts say for players of this current of this game currently. I don't know.
Versus launch.
Well, I mean, just like, how many people are playing this particular game, but I don't know. I mean, because when you look at the reviews and stuff, they seem to have gotten pretty good reviews, which is surprising, being that it's so shallow of a game. And I was just wondering what the Steam charts show for this game as far as concurrent players, right? But regardless, I just don't see this game hanging around. It might hang around a little bit because of the Ghostbusters name, but I think it'll lose that player base pretty quickly and die out, unfortunately. And that might hurt future Ghostbuster games, right?
Yeah, we don't want this destroying the Ghostbusters brand. I mean, it's not that the game is terrible or anything like that. It's just lacking everything that it really needs, and mainly its gameplay, because it's a one and done. So, but yeah, I definitely. What's the Sanctum of Slime? They should have just made a sequel to that, threw 4-player co-op in it, and just made a real Ghostbuster game. I know it's different developers and all that, but I'm not sure who it is that owns the Ghostbusters brand. I'm not sure if it's Warner Brothers or Paramount or who it is, but don't let this, when it dies, destroy the brand. Make a real Ghostbusters game, what people want.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Spirits Unleashed is a Epic exclusive, so for the PC side of things, so we won't see any charting for it for Steam. So, if you want to pick it up on PC, it's going to be through the Epic Game Store. But anywho, that's what we think of it. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about this game or anything before we head on out? All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to let us know down in the comments below. Have you tried this game or any other 4v1s? What's your favorite 4v1? Let us know down in the comments below. I'm not big into 4v1s myself. I don't know about these guys, but I really don't play 4v1s. My son loves Dead by Daylight, which it seems like most teenagers or young kids around in our age seem to like that game for some reason, just like Fortnite, whatever. But anyway, let us know down in the comments below what you think, and happy Halloween, everybody. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already. Hit the subscription button down below. Make sure you hit the bell notifications to stay up to stay up to videos that we do all the time. And other than that, we'll see you next time.
See ya.